Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Speedway Redevelopment Commission meeting. This meeting's taking place Monday, July 15th at 6 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order and confirm a quorum. Mr. Popchef, the president, is absent today, so I'll be standing in for him. To my left is Rhonda Swartz, the secretary. To her left is Jennifer Miller, who is the newest member and appointee to the Speedway Redevelopment Commission. Congratulations.
Thank you.
To her left is Dr. Terry Reed with the Speedway School Board, and helping representing the Speedway School Board. To my right is Gordon Rundle, Commissioner, and to his right is Mr. Tim Gropp, the Economic Development Director. In the audience tonight we have Tim Ramian, the Executive Assistant. And I'd like to confirm that we have a quorum and that the meeting was listed publicly ahead of time, and we will proceed to public comment. If anyone has anything they'd like to say, please step to the podium. All right, no one moving forward. We'll proceed to the consent of meeting minutes for the regular session of June 17th, 2019 from our last month's meeting. Those were distributed previously. Does anyone have any objections or corrections? With no objections or corrections, we'll approve those by consent. Approval of claims. Those were also distributed. I think we've got those in front of us at the moment. Mr. Gropp, would you like to go over the claims for this month?
Yeah, really nothing too crazy. We did have the tree trimming, which is part of our contract with the parking with the bunch lot. And then we had our first bond payment made on, we received all our TIF income for the June installment. And I think it was Friday, Monty sent all the lease rental bond payments out. So those didn't all reflect on here, but the 2013 bond did show up on here, both principal and interest. So that was money in, money out as far as our TIF TIF money draws for this month. So if you notice on your budget versus actual, I didn't have our numbers for what our balances are. I will get those to you. Mr. Combs is on vacation this week and I didn't get them prior, but we will follow up with that. Everything else seems to be pretty much in line. Nothing out of the ordinary this month.
Very good. Can we approve that with consent, or do we need to make a motion?
You can do it with consent.
Does anybody have any objections or corrections to the claims, the expenses? All right, with no objections or corrections, we'll approve that with consent. And moving to project updates, Tim, would you like to walk us through that?
Sure. We'll start with the Wilshaw Project. As we noted at the last town council meeting, there's a temporary stoppage of work on the Wilshaw Hotel project. It's anticipated they're working through some engineering issues and some Hilton approval issues, such as exterior lighting. There was a plumbing switch there, and we met with Drew Loftus at Loftus Robinson and went through all of this in detail to understand what they're working on. It all makes sense to us. So we're keeping in contact with them. They're hoping that they can work out these approvals earlier, but they're scheduled to get back on site and be working by the last week in July, if all goes well, sooner if possible. Elsewhere, leasing continues there. They're at about 33, about a third of it's full. We'd like to see a few more, but it just takes a little time, and nobody's panicking on that, and everyone feels like it's going as planned. So. And then Fun Days continues to do their build out. They're a little behind schedule. There were some permitting issues and some other things that signage issues that we're working through, but I think they're getting closer on that. And I don't have an exact date, but I know they want to open as soon as possible. So we'll keep you posted, and I'm sure Kelly Buck, our communications director, will push out when their grand opening will be as soon as she hears.
Very good. Anyone have any questions?
All right. Moved to the 1300 block environmental cleanup. We met on site with Hoosier Equipment, who will be doing the excavation portion of Phase 2 of the cleanup. They're working through some permitting issues right now, just due to some equipment availability and whatnot. They were originally going to start this week. They're actually going to start the last week in July as well. It's going to be a very busy week for me. But they will be mobilizing. I will send you guys out a site plan. It's a little bigger area than I originally anticipated. Takes a lot of the former Arts Center building and then goes all the way almost out to the alley. And they'll be going 8 feet deep, removing about 8 feet of soil, and they have to test every roll-off container prior, so they'll have a mobile lab on site, be testing the soil to determine where it needs to go. So they're hoping to do about 8 containers per day, and they anticipate this taking about a month to get the whole area completed. So a little lengthier process than anticipated, but you'll definitely see some activity there starting the end of July. And if anyone wonders what's going on.
Are they going to utilize Autotech again for the staging of those
I
containers?
don't know. I think they possibly. I don't think they're going to. The mobile lab kind of sets up on site, so I don't know that they'll need to as much. It's available to them if they need to, and we might actually utilize it for some overflow parking items as well. So, Rebar Development has been very kind in allowing us to use that for whatever we need to use it for.
Very good. Any questions?
All right. 2500 High School Road has been taking up a majority of my time. It is a very, it's like any redevelopment effort. There's just a lot of moving pieces, a lot of timelines. We've been making progress, checking off boxes. We received over the weekend, we received our NDOT stormwater approval, which was good. We've met with IPL on site about relocating and burying certain lines, or at least relocating them so they're not on Crawfordsville Road. We've met with AT&T, who has some items out there. We're still working through final contracts and agreements with Crown Castle, which is the cell tower. I think we're really close with them. Same with Circle K and El Rodeo as well, who will be staying there. Circle K, we had a really good meeting with them last week. They're very supportive. They're also probably the most complicated part of this due to the underlining zoning of the well protection area that we're trying to work through. But they're ready to get the deal done. We're ready to get the deal done. The hurdle will be getting approvals through Marion County. That is kind of a crux to the whole process, though. So that's where the entrance road will go in the main infrastructure. So we have to be able to get them approved to move prior to moving anything else forward. So it's kind of a big deal, and we're just working through any meetings and everything we need to do to try to work through that process, and also come up with alternatives if we run into a roadblock there. So that's kind of a major sticking point right now. We did meet with Department of Public Works both a couple weeks ago and then today as well with some follow-up. We're recommending approval of the 25th and High School Road intersection improvements. We've made a few adjustments to those to include a little additional stacking for some of the turn lanes, and we will be recommending that to council on Monday to then get that approval started down in Marion County, because that is Indianapolis's road, actually, not Speedway's. And then we also added on doing some restriping on westbound Crawfordsville Road to add a dedicated turn lane to northbound High School, which was a request to council as well. And we did not receive any pushback from Indianapolis today, so we'll be working on that as well. Beyond that, we have a few leads out there, and we have some LOIs out there, and I think we're getting close to just getting all the paperwork started, but it's all kind of which domino falls first at this point, and we don't want to dedicate too much until we know we can get the road through and the infrastructure through, which is kind of circulating around the Circle K portion. So we feel good about everything else, though, and everything's in process. The rezone as well, I didn't mention the rezone process. We'll be going to the town council to start that process next Monday as well. So a lot of parallel paths being handled right now for that project.
Appreciate your work on it. Anybody have any questions with North High School Road? Okay. Strategic plan?
We received feedback from Okra. They reviewed the plan. We're nothing too crazy. They wanted a few changes, a few additions, a few clearer maps. So we are pulling, I was going to send that to you. I'll make sure I do that tomorrow. We are just collecting all that, and Courtney's working through most of that, and I'm getting what I can on my end. And we don't see any issues that we should have that wrapped up real soon here. And then we have to implement it.
And then we have to implement it, yeah. And there'll be a reimbursement, right?
Yes, yeah. Once Okra signs off, that'll be the reimbursement of the grant money back to us.
Very good. Anyone have any questions in regards to that?
And not in regards to that, but Abel?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Gilman Street, right behind Delara, Able Construction is building 30,000 square foot, plus or minus. Flex Building, they've broken ground. They're on site pushing dirt, and they have all their fencing up and all the things we check the boxes for. Are they just following the process? And so far, they've been really good to work with and accommodating, and everything seems to be on target, and we don't anticipate any big issues. So we'll keep you posted as that goes along, but I know it's a tilt-up building, so it shouldn't take very long. For the actual build, maybe October, November.
Oh,
So
wow.
we'll keep you posted.
Fantastic. Any additional questions in regards to the projects?
All right.
All right. Moving on to new business. We have 3 resolutions this evening. The first 2 are with regard to the town hall funding project, and we will go through those together. At the same time, then we'll close the session, have a public hearing, and then reopen the session. So, Resolution 2019-08 is the second reading, and that will be the preliminary determination of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission to enter a lease. And then the first reading, is it only one reading?
It's only one reading for
Yeah.
this.
Resolution 2019-10 is approval of execution of lease of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission. And Ms. Heather James from Ice Miller, please go through that for us.
Thanks. So that's exactly right. Those are the 2 resolutions before you this evening with regard to this project. The first resolution, the preliminary determination resolution, was presented at the last meeting, and we talked about it at that time. But again, to reiterate, because of the size of this financing, it's a controlled project that's subject to petition and remonstrance. So the Indiana Code requires 2 hearings where the financial information and parameters in the resolution is made available to the public. So we did the first hearing last month, and then the second hearing is tonight. And then there's also the public hearing that you mentioned on the lease, which is the second document. The redevelopment authority met this evening and approved execution of the lease. So we anticipate, hi Bob. So we anticipate after the approvals this evening that I would return for the August meetings, at which point we would present the trust indenture and the preliminary official statement, which is the document that Baker Tilly will use to market the bonds. So we'll be back before you again to talk about the bond financing piece of this. And so then we hope to move towards closing in late September. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. But again, it's these 2 resolutions, and then we'd ask you to hold the public hearing on both of them.
Does anyone have any questions? I want to reiterate the reasoning for the redevelopment commission doing this just one more time. I know we went over it last month, but
Yes.
the fact that we're saving interest rate here, could you go
Right.
into just a brief description?
Yeah, we've structured it this way, where we're actually financing the acquisition of roads and then using those acquisition proceeds to fund the town hall project instead of funding the town hall project directly, because there's a capitalized interest savings there, because we don't have that construction risk period where you'd be funding capitalized interest during the construction.
Did the amount of acquisition change from the last time? Is it the same
Nope, same.
amount? Okay.
Bob, thanks for joining us.
I'm sorry. I'm 65 and then I'm 465.
If you were traveling on the interstates, we understand.
I've had a little frustration with NDOT tonight.
He tried to sneak in and Heather and Brody call him out.
Any additional questions? Do you want to close the SRC meeting then? And we'll open a public hearing?
Necessarily need to close the meeting.
Okay, just open a public
Open
hearing?
the public
Yeah.
hearing.
Okay, very good. Anyone has any questions, please step to the podium. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Very good. And entertain a motion to address both these resolutions.
I would like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2019-08, the preliminary determination of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission to enter a lease.
And a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstained. Okay. Motion passes 4-0. 4-0. And motion for the resolution 2019-10?
I move that we approve Resolution 2019-10, the approval of execution of lease of the Speedway Redevelopment Commission.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion to vote? Sorry. So we'll vote on resolution 2019-10. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And any abstentions? No. Motion passes 4-0. And the third and final resolution this evening, entertain a motion for resolution 2019-11?
We need to discuss that one
Sorry.
first.
Yes, sorry.
You got in the role there.
I did, absolutely. So Tim, are you going to speak about that, or is Ms.
Actually, I'm going to have
Hudson-
Jennifer Hudson from London Whitty, our financial consultant,
Yeah.
address this one.
So Resolution 2019-11 is a confirming amendment declaratory resolution. And it is confirming a declaratory resolution that was approved at the last meeting for the establishing the Founders Square Economic Development Allocation Area for the 2500 project. You'll have to hold up.
We approved the declaratory resolution on May 20th, our May 20th
Okay.
meeting, and then it goes through an entire process, and then this is the final step in reestablishing the allocation area.
Does anyone have any questions?
If you have questions about the legal side of that process, I'm happy to answer them.
And this is the final step in the bond, in the public approval portion of the 2500 High School Road bond process.
Yeah, we'll have to hold a public hearing.
Yes, it's a public hearing.
Well, any
So-
questions?
Just, I mean, if we want to kind of rehash the legalities of it, what's the difference between what we approved last time, I guess, and then now, just,
Nothing.
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 so
Nothing, we're just confirming what we did the last time.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's been approved by us. It went to the town council for approval. It was publicly noticed. There's been, plenty of time for the public to know about it. We had to publish it in the paper a couple
The
times.
process essentially is you adopt a declaratory resolution, putting everybody on notice that this is your intent.
Gotcha.
And then in the intervening time between then and now, you have the opportunity for public comment, remonstrance, all of that type of thing. And then, since I presume there is none, then you would go ahead and the confirmatory resolution is saying, everything we said in the declaratory resolution, we want to move forward with.
Okay, good.
And then this will be passed along to the county, and then our new allocation area for the project will be established at that point.
Thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to open a public hearing in reference to resolution 2019-11. If anyone has any comments or questions, please step to the podium. Just want to wait a minute so Tim has to actually, two
there's-
different time frames there.
There's obviously a rush to the podium.
There is, exactly. Seeing no rush to the podium, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion on Resolution 2019-11.
Mr. Vice President, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2019-11, confirming the amendment of the declaratory resolution for the Consolidated Redevelopment Area Number 1, approving an amendment to the related redevelopment plan, and approving other matters related thereto.
And does anyone second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, and any abstentions? 4-0, the motion passes. And that concludes our new business for the evening. Don't see any old business. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up or discuss under old business? All right, we'll move along to the director's report. Tim?
Real quick, we had gotten a request from the Speedway Farmers Market that was currently out at the Lutheran Church on Crawfordsville Road. They wanted to move back to Main Street for various reasons. We had the new lot at 11th and Main, 1068 Main Street. I had kind of had that thought myself prior, and then they reached out and asked for that as well. And barring any objections from the SRC, we'd like to have them open there this Thursday. It's just a request on our end. We don't run the farmers market or are not really involved. They're just requesting to use our lot, and since the SRC is the owner, want to make sure that was fine. But if not, we'll anticipate the market opening up this Thursday at 1068 Main Street. I am working with them a little bit on signage. We want to make sure that the signage moves every month because that truly is the war memorial. So we don't want that permanent signage there, but I'm working with Carol Wellman, and she's been accommodating with that request. Beyond that, I think Allison Transmissions projects are moving along nicely at a rapid pace, and we're trying to work through any items that come up there, but they're moving along, and
I
as
see
we
they've got the
mentioned-
trees down over there on 10th Street
Yep.
already. Came down today.
And as we mentioned, Gilman Street's moving along as well, so it's good to see some of this progress.
Absolutely. Do any of the members have any additional comments or observations?
This evening.
You may have mentioned it earlier, but do we have an update on the apartment rentals? I think last time it was about 30%.
It's about a third of the rentals, so
It's changed.
nothing's really changed. Maybe a couple.
Do I need to make a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
I'd like to
Is
make
that
a
your
motion
pleasure?
we adjourn.
I'll
If
entertain
you're
that.
looking for
I'll entertain that. I'd like a second. All right.
Tip in your hand there.
All in favor? Aye. All right. We'll adjourn. Our next meeting will be Monday, August 19th at 6 p.m. Sorry for the...